Hi children, good morning to all. How are you all? Hope all are doing good and praying to be good and healthy and happy. So I came with a new session, new chapter, new lesson. So in the first concept of our 9th class is from biology. The first concept is chapter 5, that is fundamental unit of life. So already in your previous 8th class you studied the cell structure. Who discovered the cell? What is the cell? What are the functions of the cell? What are the different cell organelles and their functions? Why the cell is called as a fundamental unit, and cell theory we discussed in that previous class. But still again the continue of the same concept we have given in this as the fundamental unit. What is a fundamental unit? Important, complete, compulsory needed, the important unit of the life. So the fundamental unit of a life is a cell. So how the cells are formed, how the organisms are formed, these all the concepts. What are the cell organelles? We'll study about different types of topics. So let us see what are the topics will be covered in this process or in this concept. So introduction of the cell, who introduced the cell or who discovered the cell, cell discovery, cell theory, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, cell shape and size, cell membrane and cell wall, and cell organelles and their functions, diffusion and osmosis, types of solutions, cell placed in different types of solution, differences between plant cell and animal cell. These are all the concepts we are going to discuss in this particular concept. Let us see. Cell is the basic unit of life. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Cells are of two types, that are prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. What is meant by prokaryotes? The cell consists of at the center a nucleus. If the nucleus is enclosed or enveloped with the nuclear membrane, that cells are called as eukaryotic cells. If the nucleus is not well defined with the nuclear membrane, such cells are called as prokaryotic cells. And also multicellular organisms. What are unicellular and multicellular organisms? Unicellular means organisms which are made by a single cell, and multicellular means the organism is composed by the many cells, more than one cell. Such organisms are called as multicellular organisms. Now here you can see different types of cell organelles along with cell membrane and cell wall. Already you have an idea what is cell membrane and what is a cell wall. And the components which are present inside the cell are called as cell organelles. So different types of cell organelles are chloroplast, mitochondria, vacuoles, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, nucleus, chromosomes. These all are some of the organelles which are present inside the cell. Coming to the chromosomes, these are the basic structures. Because why they are called basic structures? Because they are the main components which helps to transfer the parental traits to the offsprings. They will transfer the parental characters to the children. That's why these are called as the basic structures or the basic numbers of the organisms. It should be maintained in a constant number. It is a basic number of chromosomes. If the chromosomes are not constant in the organism, what are the count? 46 chromosomes are present in the human cell. If it is increased or reduced also, we will find lot of disorders. So chromosomes are the main basic structures of organism to maintain the exact copies of the organisms. Okay, the constant number of chromosomes always maintain the organism to stabilize the generations. They stabilize the organisms. Okay, the race. Okay, so let us see the discovery of the cell. In 1665, Robert Hooke, an English scientist, saw cell in a thin slice of a cork, which is a crude microscope. It is not well defined microscope. The microscope which was used by the Robert Hooke, you can see that is a crude microscope. He observed as a honeycomb like a structures and named them as a cellular or a cells. Cellular or the cells. Cell in a Latin word, cell means a room. So when he observed the cork, what is a cork, children? If you take a trunk of the tree, the outer part of the trunk of the tree, we call it as a bark. So if you remove the outer layer, the bark, we will find a white color internal structure of the bark, internal structure of the trunk. So the internal white color structure is called as a bark. Okay, so when he observed under the microscope, he find a honeycomb like a structure. How does the honeycomb seems? In the picture you can find there the room like a structures. So he named them as a cellulae or the cells. Cell which gives the meaning of a room. So his discovery indicates for the first time that living organisms consist of number of small structures or the units. So the discovery of the Robert Hooke defined that the living organisms, they are consisting of a small structural units that are called as a cell. So to know the history of the cell, in 1665 Robert Hooke discovered the cell. In 1674 Antony von Leeuwenhoek studied living forms for the first time. So after invention of microscope, he studied about the living organisms under the microscope or with the help of the microscope. Antony von Leeuwenhoek. In 1831, Robert Brown discovered and named the nucleus in a cell. In 1831, scientist who is named Robert Brown. Robert Hooke discovered the cell. Robert Brown discovered the nucleus which is at the center of the cell, that is the nucleus. In 1838 to 39, M.J. Schleiden, Matthias Jakob Schleiden and Schwann, they formulated the cell theory. Already we discussed in 8th class cell theory. In 1855, Rudolf van Virchow stated that omnicellula, the cellular. Omnicellula, e-cellula is a Latin word which gives the meaning of new cells are existed from the pre-existing cells, which gives the meaning omnicellula, e-cellula means the new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells. You can see all the scientists, Robert Hooke, Antony von Leeuwenhoek, Robert Brown, Matthias Schleiden and Schwann and Rudolf van Virchow. These all the scientists together or a grouply, they form and they studied on the basic of the structure, basic structure of the organism, that is a basic unit of an organism, that is called as a cell. Now let us see what are living organisms. Organisms, how they are made up of. Just as a building is made up of a brick, the body of all living organisms are made by the cell. If you take a bricks, in order to construct the house, we settle the bricks. You can see the picture, one brick by one brick in orderly manner or in a settled manner we will construct the walls. The same manner the cells are constructed one by one to form the organism. So as a building is constructed by the bricks, in the same manner the organism is made by the cells. Basing on the cellular organization, some organisms are made of single cell that are called as unicellular organisms. So if you see the basing on the number of cells, presence of the number of cells, the organisms are, if a cell, one cell, by one cell if an organism is formed, that are called as unicellular organisms. You can see the examples, Chlamydomonas, amoeba, paramecium. Organisms which are made up of more than one cell, they are called as multicellular organisms. Irrespective of unicellular or a multicellular organisms, the cells perform similar basic functions for their survival. So all the cells, irrespective of their activities or a unicellular or a multicellular, they perform similar basic functions. So in order to have a better survival. So how can we study about the cell? Gadgets to study the cell. Cells are too small to be seen by the naked eye. So they are studied with the help of a microscope. They are very small, which are not visible to the naked eye. So they have to be seen by the help of microscope. Microscope are high resolution instruments that are used for observing fine details of very small objects. So these are having, microscopes are having higher resolution, which they could able to make us to visualize even a very small objects in a better manner and are able to see them clear manner. So two types of microscopes are there. Light microscope, magnificent, range from 100 to 1500, and electronic microscope, magnificent, ranges 1 lakh to 5 lakhs. That means very small organism can be seen its size, though it is very small one, it can be visible, it magnificent nearly. Light microscope, simple microscope we call, no, that is 100 to 150 times bigger than itself. If it is electronic microscope, it shows bigger than its size, nearly 1 lakh to 5 lakhs bigger than that itself. Okay, so for example, if I take a small nail or something, a small sand particle, if I keep the sand particle under microscope, simple microscope, it can be seen as bigger as more than 100 times bigger than the sand particle size. If it is under the light microscope, more than 100 to 1500 times bigger than itself. If I keep it under the electronic microscope, that simple sand particle, it can be visualized a bigger 1 lakh to 5 lakhs bigger than itself. So you can see the structure of microscope there. Blue color one is a simple microscope, or we call it as simple microscope or a complex microscope, and the next one is white color one, we can see as a electronic microscope. So by using the microscope, we can have a clear-cut study of the cell. Next, the shape and size of the cell. Let us discuss. Shape and size of the cell vary, but all of these are ultimately determined by the specific function. You can see here many cells: red blood cells, stomata, diatoms, paramecium, nerve cell, muscle cell. Here you have given some pictures. So some cells can change their shape. Okay, shape and size of the cell, they will different from one cell to another cell, but they determine, ultimately they determined by the specific function. Every cell has its own specific function. If you see the red blood cells, they will transport the blood, they'll carry the nutrients and the oxygen gases to all parts of our body. If you see the leaf pore, that is a guard cell or a stomata, it facilitates the process of transpiration and respiration, as well as also participate in the gaseous exchange for the process of photosynthesis. Diatoms, these are organisms, flowing pastures of the water. They provide, they synthesize food materials in the water, and they give nutrition for the animals, aquatic animals. Muscle cells, which made by the protein and facilitate a good strength to the body. Nerve cell, which help us to communicate. So response to stimulus, able to understand and able to respond. Paramecium, it is a single cell unicellular organism. So these are the different types of cells. We can see their structure, they are structurally they are different, and also their functions also we discussed now, they are the different in the functions. So shape and size of the cell vary, but all of these are ultimately determined by their specific structure and their specific function. So some cells can change their shape, like amoeba, WBC, and plants and animals have almost fixed shape. Many plants and the animals, they have a fixed shape, but amoeba does not have a shape. It is a shapeless organ. And WBC, also called as amoeboic cells, they also doesn't have any shape. Okay, so smallest cell, that is a PPLO, mycoplasma, and the largest cell is a ostrich. It is a egg of a ostrich. So the largest cell is egg of a ostrich. Ostrich egg is a largest cell. It is a single cell, but it is a largest cell. And the longest animal cell is a nerve cell. A micrometer or a micron is a 1,000 of millimeter. What is the measurement of a micrometer? Means it is a micron. It is the smallest measurement. It is a 1,000th of a millimeter. So if you take 1 millimeter, if you make it into a 1 million of pieces, what is the size of it? That is a small size. So it is the smallest unit. The micrometer or the micron is the smallest unit. So different sizes of organisms. So here you can see the scale of a life of an organism. The life scale. You can see some of organisms here. The smallest molecules, lipids, next smallest proteins, next T2 phase, that is a bacteria, next chloroplast, next most bacteria, and plant and animal cells, and fish and egg. These are the sizes of the organisms. You have given there the sizes: nanometers, micrometers, you can see there millimicrons. And the scale of life here: fishes, fish egg, hummingbird, human cell, that is okay, blue whale, and California redwood. It's the longest tree, highest, nearly 100 meters tall. The length of the tree is 100 meters tall. So now let us have a comparison study about unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are made up of single cell, and the single cell is able to perform all the life process like gaining of food, obtaining food, process of respiration, excretion, and growth, even a reproduction. These all the activities will done by only a one cell in a single cell organisms or a unicellular organisms. Cannot be divided into cells. So they cannot be divided into cells. They are also called as acellular organisms. They are called as acellular organisms. Example, amoeba and paramecium. You can see the picture of paramecium. Coming to the multicellular, made up of many number of cells. Multicellular organisms are made up of many cells. Cells have a similar basic structure and a similar basic life activities. They are the similar basic structures, and their activities also similar. Different shapes and aggregated to form the different tissues. So the group of cells which are similar in structure, they form a tissue. So a group of cells which are similar structure and similar function, they form as a tissues. Okay, different shape and aggregated to form the different tissues. So tissues from an organ, and organs give rise to an organ system. So perform the special functions. So here you can see a group of cells together form as a tissue, and a group of tissues which are structurally functionally same, that derived into a organ. So a group of organs form an organ system. A group of organ systems develop into an organism in multicellular organism. But this schematic evolution is not there in the unicellular organisms. Tissues from organs and organs give rise to organ systems that perform special functions. The examples are plants, animals, and fungi. Now, cell basic unit of life. It performs all life functions like intake of food, materials, excretion, metabolism, respiration, irritability, etc. The cells make us to know about response to stimuli, irritation, reproduction, respiration, digestion. All these activities will done by the cells. So division of labor. Cell usually possesses a number of components called the cell organelles. As the cell contains different types of cell organelles, many cell organelles, they divide the work particularly. That is called as a division of labor. As they are having many cell organelles, they divide the work, they share the work, and they work together. They work in efficient manner to make effective livelihood of an organism. Each cell organelle perform different functions, that is clearing waste materials, protein synthesis, lipid synthesis. These all are the functions. Some cells they clear the waste materials, and some cells they synthesize the proteins, and some cells they form the lipids. So every cell, each and every cell have its own activities on their functions. So what is cell is made up of? A cell is a tiny mass of a protoplasm which is surrounded by the membrane, and it is capable of performing all life functions. So cell is a small, massive protoplasm. It is a small particle. Cell is a very small thing which is surrounded by the protoplasm. Cell membrane, covered by the cell membrane, and it is this cell membrane capable to perform all the functions. So this cell membrane consists of a cytoplasm or a protoplasm. This protoplasm holds all the cell organelles which they facilitate to maintain a better development of a organism. So a typical cell is formed of three parts, that is a plasma membrane to create a separate environment. The plasma membrane create the separate environment, you can see there in the picture. Nucleus for its control. The nucleus control the organisms. Cytoplasm possessing metabolic activities. Metabolic activities means like digestion, respiration, nutrition. The energy releasing activities are called as metabolic activities. So the cytoplasm possessing the metabolic activities in the organisms. Coming to the plasma membrane or the cell membrane, the outermost delicate elastic membrane covering of the cell that separates its content from the external environment is called as plasma membrane. What is a plasma membrane? Plasma membrane is the outermost delicate elastic membrane. Delicate, very delicate. It's not a strengthy, weak. Elastic means which can show elasticity. Extendable and contractable. Elastic membrane covering of the cell, it covers the cell and it separates the content from the external environment. It separates external environment. It is called as a plasma membrane. So plasma membrane is selectively permeable. The plasma membrane is selectively permeable. What is the meaning of selectively permeable? It allows entry of certain substances, restricting others. That means it allows only what are the substances or the materials are needed to the cell, they will be allowed by the cell, and the materials which are not necessary for the cell, it will be rejected or restricted by the cell membrane. That's why the cell membrane or the plasma membrane is called as a selectively semi-permeable membrane. It is made up of bilipids layer and proteins. So this cell membrane is made by the lipids and proteins are integrated in out and inside. It is made out of outside and inside itself of the cell membrane. Small carbohydrates are attached at the place to outer surface of a lipids and the proteins. So here you can see small amount of carbohydrates, they will attach to the outer surface of the lipids and the proteins. Functions. Shape of the contents of the cell, mechanical barrier. So it acts as a mechanical barrier. It acts as a semi-permeable. I said allows the wanted materials and reject unwanted substances. It acts as a endocytosis. Endocytosis means cell. Cyto means cell. Endo means into the cell. That means the cell captures or absorbs the food substances or the water, anything materials from the out of the body by the cell membrane. That condition is called as endocytosis. Recognition centers, flow of information, transportation of information from one cell to another. Osmosis. What is an osmosis? Transfer of the molecules from the low concentration to high concentration is called as a osmosis. Cell continuity. Modify to perform specific functions like absorption in a microvilli. These are all the functions of the cell membrane. So these all the activities will be participated by the plasma membrane or a cell membrane. You can see here the cell membrane structure. See here it is acting as a semi-permeable membrane. It is allowing wanted substances inside the cell and rejecting unwanted substances out of the cell body. Now you can see transport across the membrane. How the materials are transporting across the membrane. So the cell membrane or a plasma membrane act as a physical barrier between the organelles of a cell and its cytoplasm and its surrounding environment. So the cell membrane acts as a physical barrier. Barrier means rejecting, okay, between organelles of the cell and its cytoplasm. So inside the cell we'll find the cell organelles. So the whole cell is covered with the cell cytoplasm. So this cell membrane reject mixing of, it prevent the mixing of cell organelles and the cytoplasm. So impermeable. Membranes acts as a physical barrier between the organelles and the cell and its cytoplasm and its surrounding environment. So impermeable substances do not pass through the membrane. Impermeability means from outside to inside. It doesn't allow any entry of materials. If you feel this is a cell membrane, the particles which are entering into the cell, if they are not needed, it doesn't allow them to enter into the cell body. That condition is called as impermeability or impermeable. Permeable means both solute and solvent can pass through the cell. So solvent substances and solute particles both will be enter into the cell body. That is called as a permeability. Semi-permeable means membrane permeable to solvent but prevent solute passages. So semi-permeable membrane, it allows only the membrane permeable to solvent particles and it rejects the solute particles. Okay. Selectively permeable means if membrane allows the passage of a solvent and some selected solute. Selectively permeable means it allows the solvent. Solvent means nothing but the liquid which is able to dissolve in itself is called a solvent. You can take water as a solvent. Solute means if you take a salt, if the salt is mixed into the water, salt over here, the salt become as a solvent and the solute means is a water. The material which is able to dissolve substances in itself is called as the solvent. So here selectively permeable means it allows all the solvent particles and it rejects some solutes, but it allows only the wanted solute particles in itself. So in this manner the semi-permeable membrane acts. Now let us see active and passive transport. Substances may pass across the membrane without or with the expenditure of energy. So in order to pass the substances into the cell, there will be may use of energy or may not be use of energy. So active transport, substances pass the membrane with consuming ATP. What is an ATP? ATP is nothing but adenosine triphosphate. It is energy currency which stores the energy in itself is called as energy currency. The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It stores the energy in the form of phosphate bonds. So in active transport, when the substances are transporting through the cell membrane, they are accepting by the cell membrane by using or by consuming an amount of energy by itself. And passive transport, substances passes through the membrane without consuming energy. Consuming ATP means energy. So if there is no usage of energy to pass the substances into the cell body through the cell membrane, that is called as a passive transport. Bulk transport, large amount of substances and food particles across the plasma membrane. Bulk transportation means if excessive amount of nutrients or the materials are transporting through the semi-permeable membrane, such a transportation is called as a bulk transport. The process of bringing the bulk of materials from outside by the formation of endosmosis is called as endocytosis. So the process of bringing the bulk materials, more amount of materials from outside by formation of endosmosis. Endosmosis means osmosis, which process of transferring the molecules traveling from the low concentration to high concentration, entering into the cell, that is called as a endosmosis, is called as a endocytosis. Bulk expulsion of materials as is secretion and excretion is called as a exocytosis. That means if the materials, more amount of materials are rejecting out of the body, like a process of elimination of waste materials out of the cell body, like a process of excretion, that is called as a endocytosis. That is exocytosis. Endo means inside to the cell, exit means out to the cell. If the substances are entering into the cell, that is called as endocytosis. Better I can say intaking of food, eating of food into the body, that is we can say as a endocytosis. Exocytosis means elimination of waste materials out of the cell body or the cell. That means excretion, we can take it as example, no? Elimination of the waste substances. That is called as a exocytosis. Okay, the substances which are entering into the cell is called endocytosis. If it is a liquid materials, by the process of osmosis, endosmosis. If it is a nutrient materials into the cell, that is a endocytosis. Out of the cell means exocytosis. If it is the process of osmosis, and exosmosis. Passive transport, diffusion and osmosis. What is a diffusion? The process of movement of substances, solid, liquid or the gases, from the region of high concentration to the region of low concentration till spread uniformly in the given space is called diffusion. You see children, here in the process of diffusion, I take a glass of water, I add a drop of a pink color, no? When we add, the area which is we put the drop, where the drop is fallen, that region is deep pink in color. But I kept it a common manner or a silent manner. What happened? After few minutes, what happened? The pink color will spread over throughout the glass. So here what is happening? Transferring the molecules from a high concentration to the low concentration. So the process of movement of substances, either they are the solid particles, liquid particles or the gas, from the region of high concentration to the region of low concentration till spread uniformly in the given space is called as diffusion. So that process is called as a diffusion. So here you can see, no, the diffusion process. What is the importance of the diffusion? See children, spreading of molecules, you can see how the molecules are spreading through the water. Helps in the spread of different substances through the cytoplasm of the cell. By the process of diffusion, the gases in our body, they will travel from high concentration to low concentration. Osmosis is a type of a diffusion where only solvent is allowed to diffuse. What is an osmosis? It is a type of a process itself. It is a type of a diffusion which takes place only in the solvent materials allowed to the diffusion process. So diffusion helps in the exchange of respiratory gases between the cell and their environment. The diffusion facilitates the exchange of gases, respiratory gases between the cell and their environment. And transpiration is the diffusion process. Transpiration is also a diffusion process. What is a transpiration? Elimination of excessive amount of the water out of the plant body through the stomata is called as a transpiration. So transpiration is also example for the diffusion. Flowers spread aroma through the diffusion to attract the insects and other animals for the pollution. For example, if I take a jasmine which gives a good smell, when you are out of the garden of a jasmine garden, you feel somewhat aroma of a jasmine smell. So when you are going towards the garden, into the garden, when you reach into the garden, you feel hard smell of a jasmine, very deep smell, no? That means the distance is having a less concentration. The near to the jasmine, it is having a more concentration. So always in the diffusion, the gaseous molecules or the smell particles are traveling from the high concentration to low concentration. So the flowers, to attract the insects, they spread the smell. So by attracting that, they will come and flow over the flowers. When the insects flow over the flowers by their smell, the pollen will attaches to the legs of the mosquitoes or the insects, sorry, not mosquitoes or insects. This pollen will carry out by the organisms, insects, and they flow another flower. So the pollen will travel from flower to the flower, they attaches to the stigma. So the transfer of the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma is called as a pollination. It is the initial stage of the reproduction in the flower. Okay, so they facilitate the process of reproduction. So coming to the osmosis. So defined as the diffusion of water or a solvent across the semi-permeable membrane from the region of its high concentration to the region of low concentration. So the molecules will transfer from the high concentration to the low concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. Sorry, here it is given a wrong definition. In osmosis, molecules will travel from the low concentration to high concentration, but there is a place of a semi-permeable membrane. So plasma membrane functions as a semi-permeable membrane. You can see there as a semi-permeable membrane. How diffusion differs from the osmosis? Diffusion, it can take place in the solids, liquids and the gases, whereas osmosis takes place only in the liquid medium. And the diffusion does not involve any semi-permeable membrane, whereas the osmosis requires semi-permeable membrane. So in the diffusion equalizes the concentration of the substances, whereas in the osmosis it does not equalize the concentration of the solvents on the two sides of the membrane. So different substances diffuses independent of one another. So independently they will diffuse from one to another. Only solvent undergo for the diffusion. Diffusion is not much influenced by the presence of other substances. It doesn't influence by other substances, but the osmosis influenced by the concentration and the type of a solute particles. This osmosis process always will be influenced by the concentration of the organisms. Let us see the types of osmotic solutions. What are the solutions are needed for the osmosis? Osmotic solutions are the solutions which can causes the osmosis. Basing on the type of the solution only, the process of osmosis will take place. Either it is exosmosis, endosmosis. Okay, there are three types: hypotonic solution, isotonic solution and a hypertonic solution. Three types of solutions are there: hypotonic solution, isotonic solution, hypertonic. Hypo means less concentration, iso means equal concentration, hyper means heavy concentration, high concentration. Hypertension means we call it as a high BP, no? Hyper means heavy, high concentration. Coming to the hypertonic solution, which has osmotic concentration lower than another solution. So osmotic concentration means lower than another solution. Such a solution is called as hypertonic solution. And what is isotonic solution? The solution has an osmotic concentration similar to another solution. The both solutions are equal in concentration. That solutions are called as isotonic solution. Hypertonic solution means which has an osmotic concentration higher than other solution. If you take two solutions, one solution have a higher concentration when compared with another solution. Such a solution is called as a hypertonic solution. So these are the three types of solutions. Now let us see the types of osmosis. Osmosis is of two types: endosmosis and exosmosis. Endosmosis, osmotic entry of a water into the cell or the system. If substances are entering, either it is a water enter into the cell, such a type of osmosis is called as endosmosis. Exosmosis means osmotic withdrawal of water out of the cell. So if the substances are eliminating out of the cell, that is called as endosmosis. When we place the cell in higher concentration, the water comes out of the cell by the process is called as a exosmosis. So when we keep a cell in a higher concentration, in a hypertonic solution, concentration is high, no? According to the osmosis, molecules transfer from the low concentration to high. So the outer concentration is high, the cell concentration is reduced, so automatically from the cell the molecules travel outside. Such a type of osmosis is called as exosmosis. So when we place the cell in the lower concentration, So the cell is in high concentration and the surrounding is a low concentration. Molecules will travel from outside to inside the cell. So that is called as a endosmosis. So when the solution is entering into the cell will be swollen. It increases the size. Whereas when the molecules are traveling out of the body, in case of exosmosis, the cell will become as a, what I have to say, it loses its weight. It loses its weight and shrink. It shrivels or the shrunken condition. So when the process of endosmosis takes place in the cell, it will be swollen due to the entry of molecules into the cell. When the exosmosis takes place, due to the exit of materials out of the cell, it will be shrunken and it will be lost its size. Okay, these are the different types how the materials will transfer through the cell membrane. So the cell membrane acts as a semi-permeable membrane, selectively permeable membrane or impermeable membrane. So it allows some particles, sometimes it doesn't allow any particles in itself. So the cell membrane plays a key role to transport the nutrients by the process of osmosis or the diffusion. Now the next one is a cell wall. Cell wall is a rigid. Rigid means it is a hard substance and semi-elastic. Semi-elastic means completely it is not extendable, but it is somewhat extendable. And semi-transparent. Transparent means very slightly we can watch it. It can be visible. And protective covering. It protect the internal parts of the cell. Covering present outside the plasma membrane. It is present outside the plasma membrane in a plant cell. So we find only cell wall only in the plant cell. We doesn't find in the animal cell. But we can find even in a fungi. Fungus also we can, mushrooms, they are the fungus. Okay, bread mold, it is a fungus. In a fungus we can find a cell wall. And even prokaryotes. Prokaryotes means if the cell is not well defined by the nucleus, they are called as a prokaryotes. Okay, made up of cellulose in a plants, fungal cellulose. This cell wall is made by the cellulose. In a fungus, fungal cellulose, and chitin in a fungus. Chitin means it is a strong sugary molecules. Okay, extra deposition of lignin and suberin and cutin may be present during the secondary thickenings. So these are the secondary layers of the cell wall: suberin, lignin and cutin. A cementing layer called middle lamellae is present between the walls of two adjacent cells. There is a cement layer where the two cells are attached, adjacent cells. Cell wall possesses small pores through which adjacent cell remain connected called plasmodesmata. Where the two cells are connected, there we can find a small pore, a hole like a structure, which facilitate the connection from the cell to the cell. That connecting part is called as the plasmodesmata. You can see here in the picture the connecting part of the cell to cell. You can see many cells in the brown color structure. Each cell is connected by the plasmodesmata. Now let us see what is the role of the cell wall. It provides the shape to the cell, particular shape. It provides mechanical strength to the plant. Mechanical strength means, see, when there is a heavy blows of a winds, the trees and the plants of the branches, they used to swing very heavily, but they won't be broken. Even when we want to pluck the tree flowers from the trees also, we will bend the branches. No, when we bend the branches also, the branches will not be broken because of this mechanical strength. And protects against the pathogens, mechanical injuries. Pathogens means the disease causing germs are called as pathogens. So it protect the cell wall, protect the plant, prevent the entry of the pathogens and the injuries, disease causing germs. Growth of the cell wall determines the growth of the cell. The development or the growth of the cell wall always determines the growth of the cell, length of the cell. Cell wall prevents bursting of the cell on endosmosis. Even how much material enter into the cell also, the cell will not be burst. For example, if you take fruits or the vegetables, if you keep them in the water for 1 day, 2 days, the water will enter, they will be bulged out, but they won't be burst. But if you observe, when any people are die, any animal dead in the water, if the dead body remains for a few days, when we see that, the whole body will be bursted, will become decomposed and will be bursted, because there is no cell wall. So ability to withstand a lot of variations in a nature. This cell wall provide the ability to withstand in the environmental condition. So does the cell wall and the plasma membrane are similar in functions? Let us see. The cell wall occurs in the plant cell, where the plasma membrane occurs in a plant and an animal cell. So the cell wall lies on the outside of the plant cell, whereas the plasma membrane lies on the outside of the animal cell and inside the plant cell. The cell wall is rigid and very thick. It is a hard substances. Plasma membrane is flexible and thin. It is very flexible and very thin. Cell wall is a permeable. It is able to allow the substances. But plasma membrane is a selectively permeable. What is the difference between permeable and selectively permeable? Permeable means it allows any substances in itself. Selectively permeable means it allows only the necessary substances in itself and reject unnecessary substances. So the cell wall formed out of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin, whereas the cell membrane is composed of lipids, proteins with a small number of carbohydrates. So the cell wall provide protection and strength to the cell, whereas the cell membrane hold cellular contents and control the passage materials. So today we studied about what is a cell, who discovered the cell, what is a cell theory. The postulations of the cell theory are three. They are first, the cell theory was discovered by Schleiden and Schwann. They said all the organisms are made by the cell, and also they said that the cell is a fundamental unit, as it is without a cell any organism will not be formed. Later on, many studies were taken by Rudolf van Virchow, and he said that new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells. These are all the points concerned about the cell theory. And we discussed about the cell wall, cell membrane, and how the nutrients or the liquid, gaseous, solid substances will travel into the cell and out of the cell. Different types of osmosis, what is meant by diffusion, and different types of endocytosis, exocytosis, how the cells accept the substances. So these are the concepts for this concern concept. In the next coming concept, we'll discuss about different types of cell organelles. Hope you understood. See you in the next session.